that's why I was like, isn't it $3 a day? They have a military discount, so it went from $25 to $16.50. Oh my God. Okay. I still haven't even put anything in the fridge yet. You're lopsided. I'm tired. I need to go to a supermarket right now. I think I have everything. Okay. So yeah, I told the girl. She's like, I remember you. I'm like, oh, it's me again with the car and the van this time. Okay. So let me get on the freeway and then figure out where I'm going so I can go get some groceries and then park up at Cracker Barrel. There's no point going to Starbucks. I mean, they close at 7, I think, the lobby. Most of them close about 7 anyway, but the one I went to closed at 9, but they kick you out at 7. So I'm just going to go north, back to the Cracker Barrel. And I think there's a supermarket down there, an Albertsons or something. Oh my God, that was easy. That was an easy couple days at home and an easy drive back. I wish I was home more with Harriet and all that stuff, but getting it sorted. In the meantime, let me just figure out where I'm going in supermarket. Supermarket. Okay, I don't want to do that. I want supermarket. Supermarket. I just want to go to a Smith's. Okay, there's a Smith's on the way. That might be the sketchy one. I don't know. Let's see. There's one sketchy one I went to where they didn't even have a restroom, and I was like, you suck. Okay, 7 minutes. Okay, then I want to go to, there's Walmart. Okay, I'm going to go to Smith's, and I don't want to get on the freeway. I guess I have to get on the freeway now. What the hell? Okay, and get on the freeway. Who is calling? Okay, somebody is calling me. I do not want to speak to anyone because now I'm finally leaving Cracker Barrel. Beautiful, beautiful day in Albuquerque. Every day is beautiful. Like, you know, they say, oh, Denver's Mile High City. Albuquerque, the thing about it, what I love, apart from these, when you're a goth kid in the middle of 100-degree, like, desert, more props to you. I don't know how you can dress in all black and Doc Marten combat boots when it's like 100 degrees. Actually, it's nice. It's 64 degrees right now. It's all of a sudden starting to cool down. It's not going to get above 70 now, and it's just going to get colder. But yeah, it's like blue skies and sunny, and I'm getting good sun and everything. It's great. But here's the thing, is that like other cities like Denver that gets, 100 or 300 days of sun a year or something, Mile High City, you have noise constantly. The thing about Albuquerque is that it's so spread out and so flat, and you don't have massive skyscrapers. I mean, you do have big buildings, but it's such a like valley and everything, 600,000 people spread out, that you don't get that constant noise. Like wherever you go, it's just quiet. I mean, there's freeway right here, but there's nothing to like absorb or bounce the sound off. So it just has a different feel. When I was in Bozeman, you constantly had the airplane, like drone noise from the airplane, or like the traffic noise, because it was in a basin, but it was so just like stupidly built up. And I think because all the buildings are, metal and whatever, it just seemed really, really stupidly noisy. And there was you never felt like you were just quiet. You could always hear something. But I don't know, Albuquerque, the sound just kind of goes away. So I'm going to go 14 minutes now, and everything's real close. Everything's within 20 minutes at the most. And you can get everything here. So I did the rollerblading yesterday. That was fine. I didn't really film anything at all, actually. So I did that in the afternoon at noon. Now it's 10 a.m. It's only 10? Yeah, it's 10 a.m. because I'm an hour behind Houston. So I had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning. That's a massively built up van. It's got everything on it. Like, you're ready to be stranded, sir. So when I see a $400,000 Sprinter van with all the owl boxes and the Avatar Overland, roof rack and 700 watts of solar and max tracks, I'm like, you are ready to die in the desert. Like, you're ready to be stuck 30 minutes from here where there's nothing. And you can get yourself out, so I'm not going to come get you. It's always funny. That's what van life is. Keep your fridge alive and just be able to survive being stranded. But anyway, so now I'm going to go to Sandia Peak. It is a beautiful, absolutely clear day. It's gorgeous and it's cold. So I'm going to go do the hike from 10,000 feet. I'm going to take the tram up. Price went up. It's $23. It's $29. No, I think it's $30. It's expensive now. Let me get, where are you at? There we go. It's used to be $18 when I was here 3 years ago. Yes, I did the hike in 2021. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so 4 years ago I did the hike. Holy crap, long time. I keep thinking, I'm like, oh, it's just here, I'll do it anytime. It's like taking the world for granted. I'm like, I can come back anytime. 4 years later, I still haven't done it again. But I've been on the tram twice. Only one time I've done the hike. But I'm going to do the hike today because it's not snowing or anything. I don't think they're going to get a lot of snow this year. It's been a very mild year. And I think the snow is going to come late, which is great about Albuquerque, is that it just comes late. This Discount Tire, this is where I get my tires from, which I actually, surprisingly, it's been like 2 years since I've had tires. So the last time I got tires was in Albuquerque 2 years ago, like almost exactly in October of 2023. So I've done pretty well with not needing new tires. I've not really been off-roading much. And then the weight of my van's kind of balanced out. So usually the front tires wear more than the back tires, just science. But now I'm going to go up to Sandia. So Sandia is the Native American tribe in the Albuquerque area. So you have like the Sandia Casino, and but it's really beautiful. And 10 minutes from town, you've got a 10,000-foot peak that you can just go take a tram up. It's one of the longest trams in the country, I believe, or maybe the longest tram in the country. One of the last cog tramways. So the Pikes Peak train, I'm like such an otaku, like a train nerd. The Pikes Peak train is, I think, the last cog train that goes up to 14,000 feet. And you can hike down, it's a 24-mile hike, but you can hike down from Pikes Peak. You can also ride your bike down. They do bike tour groups. There's like $300 for the bike tour. I don't think you can take your own bike up and ride down on your own. I think you have to do the tour. You can also hike down. You can drive your car up. You can drive your car down. If you want to go through 110 hairpin turns. I have never done it in the van. I don't think I ever will do it in the van. I've got a 120-point turning circle just to make a left turn. So I'd be there leading the parade. I'm like, just wait for me. I'm trying to, plus going up. The incline's not that bad. My rear-wheel drive car van is actually pretty spiffy, but it's just the whole turning thing, and also with a, broken wrist that is recovering. I don't think I want to be doing this whole thing the whole way. But that said, you can if you want. It's a 14er. It's a pretty easy 14er. You can also get donuts at the top, which I'm not a donut person, but they were quite yummy. I don't know if they tasted different than regular donuts, because I don't eat regular donuts, so I have no idea. But I will say that they were quite yummy. So, and I had to have them. I just got them because you have to, not because I was hungry. But anyway, yeah, so now I'm going uphill a little bit. I think that I'm going up probably about 1,000 feet, and then I'll go up on the tram. I love it. This will be my third time doing it. It's $23 one way, and you can hike down. It used to be $15 one way, $18 round trip. That was 4 years ago. But now it's $23. It's $29 round trip. That's with the military or senior discount. So I think it's probably around $32 if you're not military. But I asked him, I said, well, why? I'm actually going to have to, kick someone in the shin. I'm like, wait a minute. I want to do group hikes. I want to do this as a project for Hike Bike Alike. And I'll put the website right here if you want to donate. I want to bring women veterans up here, small groups of 10 to 12 with, 2 to 3 buddy hikers along with myself. And I want us to be able to take the tram up and then do the group hike down. The group hike is about 8 miles, so it'll take me a couple hours, which is fine. That's why my ears are popping. But I want to do that, and but you can do. They only have corporate and education groups. They don't have non-profit groups, so I need to figure out like a good middle ground. Oh, there's Trader Joe's. Oh, I know where I am. I was just there yesterday. I got groceries there. I could have just taken this road. I took this whole bumpy back road, literally 1 block up on the freeway from. Okay, so now I actually don't know really my way around Albuquerque. I just used the map. See, I only know like 4 places I go, which is the Bosque Trail, Trader Joe's, Discount Tire, and Oil Change Place, and Cracker Barrel. Okay, so that's good. So it's Ventura and Paseo del Norte. Okay, so then Paseo del Norte, the other way, is the Bosque Trail and the Planet Fitness. So everything's literally just like on the I-25 and Paseo del Norte. Sorry, my Spanish is horrible. I took 2 years in high school in California, learned nothing. But anyway, there's Trader Joe's. So I went there yesterday, got groceries, and now I keep thinking, what am I going to make for lunch now? Now that my stomach is kind of healed. I'm changing subjects here. I've had horrific stomach issues for a couple years. My dad died of colon cancer. I don't have colon cancer, but I have to get a colonoscopy soon. I missed it in July because I was traveling. I didn't want to poop in a bucket. I got really nervous. I'm like, I can't poop on demand. And I had that bucket of shame for like a month, and I couldn't do it. And so I need to get the colonoscopy scheduled in Houston in the next couple of weeks, probably in November. So that'll be exactly 2 years since my last colonoscopy. 3 years since my last colonoscopy, I think, or 2 years, 2023. Yeah, so yeah, I need to do that, and then that's not enjoyable. They do cameras both ends for me, but it's necessary to save lives. So I need to do that. I need to poop in a bucket. But what am I talking about? Oh, I had stomach problems, and so I take a thing called pantoprazole, which is like it neutralizes stomach acid, because I was getting really bad heartburn, and I'm like, I've never had any of these issues before. I'm very healthy. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, nothing. And so then I had to take this like antibiotic, because they thought, well, maybe you just have like, you know, maybe you got food poisoning or something, you didn't know about it. I said, I don't know. I went through a pandemic. I never had COVID, but who knows what's going on. So they gave me that for about a month back in May. So I was in Bryce. So back in May, end of May, beginning of June, I took it for a month before I went up to Big Sky. And immediately I noticed the difference. I was like, okay, this actually, so there's a condition for it that I finally possibly have been diagnosed with. And it's very misdiagnosed all the time. So they said, oh, you have IBS. I said, I don't have IBS. Oh, you have lactose intolerant. No, I don't. I can eat anything. And I don't have any issues with the food. It's just like the discomfort in my stomach. And they're like, oh, you might have, you know, diverticulitis. You know, they ruled everything out. I went through like 3 years of testing non-stop, like constantly. I went to every GI specialist. I had to do the voiding test. I did a video on it where I had to eat a radioactive sandwich, and they did an x-ray every 10 minutes to see how far it was going through my stomach, and it went through within 4 hours. So for every 10 minutes for 4 hours I had an x-ray, and they showed that it went through my stomach and my intestine at the right rate of speed. It wasn't like stuck somewhere. And they said, okay, well, your digestion's fine. I said, that's great. And that was the most disgusting egg salad sandwich I've ever had in my life. It reminds me of my horrible egg salad sandwiches as a child in England. By the time we ate them on school trips, they were just warm. Do you ever grow up like in England? Anyone grow up in England and you always had egg salad sandwiches on school trips, and they were always warm? We don't have ice in England. We don't put ice in anything. Everything's warm. Even the beer is warm. I don't drink it, but apparently it is. So, but that said, back to me. But yeah, it really kind of fixed everything, kind of. So I still have to get everything checked out, but I've been feeling great since then. You know, I think also there was stress with Jeff passing away and stuff like that. But I don't have the horrible, like, excruciating stomach pain. My stomach felt like a concrete wall. It just felt, and it was distended, and I was like, okay, I know I'm not pregnant. That's definitely a no. So yeah, I mean, I finally got a really good GI specialist, and I have a follow-up with her in November on the 18th. So I'm going to go ahead and have her schedule the colonoscopy right after that, and I'll just be home in Houston for, you know, whatever week that I have to be there for the colonoscopy. The thing about it is you have to drink that Go Lightly stuff, which is like a gallon of cucumber flavored water, and as soon as you take, you have to sip it over the course of an hour, and as soon as you take 4 sips, you need to be near a restroom. So I cannot do that while I'm in the van. That porta potty will fill up, and plus it clears you out. Then you have electrolyte, like your electrolytes really just go down. Started shaking because I had absolutely nothing left in me, and that's such a weird feeling. And yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm not feeling too great. Then you have to sleep and get up at like 3 a.m. Sorry, to go to the hospital the next morning. Oh, my nose is running. Go to the hospital next morning. And then you have to have, you know, they wheel you in. There's like a triage area, and there's probably like 30 people just waiting to get cameras up their butts, and they just do one after another. And so yeah, and then they put you under, they sedate you. I was asleep. I woke up and I was like, I don't even want to know where things were at. I don't want to know where you put your camera or what you look like. And then they gave me a printout with all the pictures of what my throat and my intestine looked like. They found 2 polyps, they removed them, so that was great. But yeah, so I know there's no obstructions. I know that I don't have any, you know, as far as I know, I don't have cancer, but I still need to get checked because my dad died of it, and he was only 59. So to think now he'd be about 82. And we'd probably be hiking, and he'd be taking me all over, teach me fishing. He was on the cover of Field and Stream magazine back in the 70s with his 4 fish. I have the picture, the original picture, I just don't have the cover. So I need to contact the magazine and be like, hey, can you get me a picture of, you know, the cover of, sorry, my nose is running, hang on. Sorry, I'm very fidgety this morning. But yeah, so I want to get the cover of Field and Stream magazine. So I'm going to call Condé Nast or whatever publisher publishes it. He was an avid fisher. He was a really good fisher, and loved motorcycles, brought motorcycles from the States over to England, taught us canal boating, taught my brother, I'm sorry, everything's coming out, taught my brother how to do rifle shooting when he was like 8 or 9 years old. We used to go to the Air Force bases in England, just outside of London. My dad had a lot of connections. He worked in oil and gas, and so he was friends with like the Fayette family, and my sister went to like the fancy American school with like Jim Henson's kids and Ringo Starr's son, and you know, I was little. I was either not born or I was like 8-year-old. So when my parents divorced when I was 3, we moved into a council house in North London. So I went to like a crappy public school. I loved it though. I had all the freedom. My sister didn't. My sister was very wealthy and spoiled. She's 12 years older. So in the 70s, you know, my parents had everything. And in the 80s, I had all the freedom. I ran around barefoot, wore hand-me-downs, built tree houses, rode my BMX, and lived in a council estate, and it was great. Loved it. So wouldn't change any of it. Wherever you were at 5 o'clock in the evening, that's where you stayed to have dinner. So whoever's door was open, was that it? And my mum would make Granny Smith apple pies, and she would give them to the neighbors, and the neighbors would make berry pies and cherry pies. We all had fruit trees and stuff. We had an apple tree, and we had a cherry tree. I don't like cherries, but we had blackberry pies and all this stuff. It was great. And so she would make pies for everybody, and we'd all exchange them, and it was, you know, a little community. So yeah, because she was gone a lot, so people just took care of me. My mom was either working or traveling or meeting some guy. I don't know, it was the 80s. But when we moved to the States, she was my age. She was 46, and she had a 26-year-old, and then a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old. I could not imagine at my age, I could not imagine having, like, if Harriet was 26, I mean, it'd be awesome, but I cannot imagine being 46 and having a 26-year-old. Like that, I'm still a kid, you know, but then I see how I look at 46 versus how my mom looks. She looked a lot older than me at 46. Definitely 3 kids really took a wear and tear on her. So, sorry mom, but that's kind of how we are. I was fine, I was gone all the time, like at school or outside playing, so traveling. It wasn't really a burden, I always held my own. But anyway, so now I'm here, it's so pretty. Oh my god, I've not been up here. I can't believe it's 3 years since the last time I was here, 4 years since I did the hike. And it's nice and cold, because the last part of it, you're just kind of hiking through this like high desert area for like 2 miles, I think it is. Okay, so this is Sandia Peak. Really, really well put together. It's just so pretty out here. These Adobe houses are just really pretty. Although I like the white Adobe houses with the dark brown wood. It's great. So let's see what this guy's gonna say. Hi, I'd like to take the tram up. No, I called them. I suppose that's what I do every time, yeah.
I'd like you to get them on your cell phone if you can at sandiapeak.com.
Oh, I broke my hand, so it's hard to use. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can't use my hands right now, thanks. Okay.